Anti-Afro Svengalis. I was coming on here to do an update. I wanted to make sure I gave additional information about Dumpsey D. Durrell and his tax lien. He has a mega tax lien. Here's another contradiction, people. Running around here calling everybody broken, dusty, and destitute. Claiming I had 7 lawsuits, failed businesswoman, all these things. Always so quick to attack people claiming they don't have any money. How the hell does he know what anyone has at any given time or at all? Well, there are some circumstances that are obvious, like a federal tax lien. He has a federal tax lien. He's running around here. The first thing he wants to do is tell you all how far beneath him you are because of some materialistic bullshit. A house that you hear the wind passing through because there's only one person occupying it. A house that's underwater, large mortgage, heavily mortgaged. A tax lien, a federal tax lien. We have the contest going. I'm not going to tell you the range, but he shouldn't be talking about anybody. But that's what he loves to do until the 411 is dropped. He's the one that targets everybody for all these attacks, talking about people's family members, talking about their children. And if you really want to think about it, comparatively speaking, what has been said about Dumpsey's wife, Latasha? What has been said about her compared to all the crap he has said about the wives, the girlfriends, the children, any other woman in these YouTube streets? Nobody gives a hoot about how he feels that people are simply doing what he's done. If people are going to do what he did, he can't handle it. That's his issue. Keep swallowing those bitter pills. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But what I want to tell you is, if this idiot thinks I'm going to jump up here and start defending this and defending that, going back, and no, that's not happening. The fact remains. The fact will not change. Dumpsey D. Durrell, the Medicare defrauder, Dempsey Spears, the one that stole the $8,000, he's married to a woman who was convicted of child abuse, was arrested for felony child abuse, has a criminal conviction for child abuse, cannot legally work around any children. And if she was working in his office, he's violating the law, cannot be working at any healthcare facility, any place where they are mandated to report child abuse, neglect, and or elderly dependent adult abuse. Ineligible, permanently barred, permanently disqualified. The situation of Dumpsey not liking a law is not even a factor. He doesn't control how the laws are applied. They don't care about the fact that you pled the case down to a misdemeanor. You don't even need to have a criminal conviction to be on the barred list. You can have a substantiated case of child abuse / neglect without criminal charges. That happens all the time. If you're in that registry with a substantiated child abuse or neglect finding, or you have a criminal conviction, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, you are permanently barred from working in certain fields, mental health field / medical field, because they're basically one and the same. Parks and recreation, amusement parks, schools. She can't even work at Chuck E. Cheese. There are other places you can get jobs. There are just several categories where people who are on the child abuse registry would be permanently banned from being employed. Just because Dumpsey D. Durrell is mad because this revelation came to light doesn't change the law, doesn't change what happened before. It's public record. It's a fact. There is no alleged. There is no dismissing of the case. It will not be expunged. You cannot expunge a child abuse conviction. You can't do it. It's not possible. The goal is to protect children. Why in the world would somebody bestow a privilege of expunging a conviction for child abuse? Let's just pretend. That name is still in the child abuse registry. That's two separate entities. Just like when Dumpsey's wife was arrested, you have a police report, an actual law enforcement agency report number, and you had a CPS case number. So they had a CPS case. That's two separate entities. Although the police are a child welfare agency by law, Child Welfare Services is a different agency / CPS. There are two separate report numbers. Well, actually, there were three. There was a DA filing number, there was a police report number, and there was a CPS, Child Protective Services case number. Of course, they had a CPS case. What would make Dumpsey different from anybody else? There is no difference. They had a CPS case. I think I stated in one of the other videos, unless this went to trial, that CPS case would be confidential. Dumpsey can come on and share it with us since he wants to try and say people are lying. That's all good. It's a public conviction, a criminal conviction. She can try to have it expunged. She will be turned down flat. I also find it actually amusing, but it doesn't surprise me because demons are immoral. The number one black male hater is immoral. Runs around here leveling false accusations against black men for child molestation, pedophiles, and if you come near my school, I'm going to call the resource officer for no reason whatsoever, but ignoring an actual conviction for child abuse. We don't care if the number one black man hater doesn't cover it. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. This amoral lowlife doesn't want to discuss a factual, verifiable case of child abuse. All well and good for the number one black man hater to run up and down these YouTube streets, vilifying black men as a group, falsely accusing black men with no evidence, no legal intervention of any kind, but mute on the fact that we have a convicted subject, Dumpsey D. Durrell's wife, convicted child abuser, but that's not covered. A very graphic example of a lack of credibility, demanding that you jack up innocent black men for sex crimes they didn't commit. That's why people don't have credibility. And they run around crying and screaming, blaming everybody else for the fact they feel rejected. And the black men don't like me, pulling this bullshit woman's card. So when that doesn't get any steam, then they go for the biracials have privilege card. They start yanking that around. That doesn't get them anywhere either because it all cycles back to them. It never works. It just keeps cycling around and around. This is why I give very little attention when these subjects and these demons speak up. I block their asses in the chats and they get pissed. See, they get pissed. You block them and they're pissed. Who has the problem? If somebody has blocked you, forget about it. Move on, but they can't do that. Now, there are some times when I will respond when I see they're trying to target the host. They're trying to pull another propane situation. They're trying to guilt and lean on the host, leveraging someone in the chat. And someone sends me that message, I'm likely to address it with the host. It doesn't matter to me, but to them it matters very much. They just keep getting more and more frustrated. Listen, this is how you can keep your frustration level down. This is some free advice to everyone. Lower your expectations of whoever you're expecting to do what you want them to do. If you expect a demon to be righteous and respectful and trustworthy, you're going to be disappointed expecting that. It's not going to happen. So what you see these demons do, expecting us to comply with their demonic directives. Look at Dumpsey. Fully exposed and still expecting people to treat him like he thinks he deserves to be treated. That was never the case because there are people who never respected this freak and always knew he was a fraud, but he insists on forcing everybody to treat him how he wants to be treated. And to hell with how you think and about how you feel, which is why he expected Stargate to keep running back to him after she gave him multiple chances and he still treated her with such disrespect. Don't have your expectations at anywhere except below sewer level. For these demons, they engage in this conduct once, they're going to keep doing it. If you keep expecting them to change, you're only going to disappoint yourself. Just like these demons are expecting us to follow their orders. They get more and more frustrated. It's never going to happen. I'm never going to follow their damn orders. So frustration level increases. If and when they cross the line, you damn well better believe that's when I'm going to get the white man involved. And these demons crying and screaming about ruining people's families. You can't put a guilt trip on me. Nobody can put a guilt trip on me for something that they're doing that's unauthorized, that's illegal, that's unethical, that's violating code of conduct. It's not my burden. If a person chooses to violate regulations, whatever they may be, courts, criminal law, code of ethics, whatever it is, they're making that decision. They are trying so hard to lay a guilt trip on you. They will continue to be frustrated because you're not going to obey them. Then they start just making up shit out of the clear blue sky, hoping to get you jumping out of your chair and hollering and screaming. Okay, now we got you to react. While we do know there are certain circumstances where people will respond to things, but they want you to be jumping around, dance to the beat of their drum. They want you to jump up and scream and holler because you're talking about their families. They want you to go back and forth all day, every day with them. It keeps them going and it keeps them further and further away from their own truth. That's what happened with Dumpsey. He spent all of his time targeting people for what? They're bad parents, they're fat, they're broke, they're dusty, they're homeless, all of these things. And look who's on the verge of homelessness. Dumpsey's got that house underwater. You know how much he owes on that house? And he's got a tax lien. He has a tax lien on that house, and that's why he's screaming so loud about everybody's situation that he doesn't know anything about, but we know about that tax lien. And he wants to come up here and say every single thing Dumpsey says about others, it's true about himself. He'll make up any lie about you to try to get it off him because it applies to him. He wants to try to shed it, but you can't shed being married to a convicted child abuser. He was married to the convicted child abuser when she perpetrated the crime. You can't undo that. You can't erase it. You can't hide it. You can't expunge it. It happened. So no amount of lying and posting people's photos. He can run whatever story he wants to run. It's not going to change the facts. He married a convicted child abuser. And that is it, people. There's no way around it. I'll keep reminding people in case you forget. I will keep bringing you back to center stage. He can try all he wants to skirt the issue. We're not going to skirt the issue. We have the information. We put it out there. It's true. It's factual. Again, there is no alleged. One thing certain, I will be coming back with more information. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.